Hey, it's Nintenbros.
Hi.
What's going on, podcast listeners? Welcome back to another episode of Nintenbros. I think this is episode number 77. Wow,
77, something like that. Yeah.
that's incredible. Today, we got a special kind of episode for you. It's one of our experimental ones, and today we're talking about the history of the flop. Now,
Yeah.
believe it or not, Nintendo, I know it's one of the big three video gaming companies, but it has had its fair share of floppery, both in games, accessories, and even consoles. But more importantly, I think personally, flops are very important for the creativity process of companies itself. So we're here to talk about all the good and all the bad of the flop. So, without further ado, let's dive into this whole experience of telling you guys the history of the flop.
hmm
So, what does it mean to be a flop? Homie Low, why don't you elaborate a little bit on that? What is a
Yeah.
flop?
Yeah. Well, obviously, like when people think of a flop, right? They're like a game that didn't do well, a
Mhm.
game that people hated, and that's mostly like it. But to define it a little more, what it means to be a flop is that the failure of a game or console or item spells out less enthusiasm for the next entries to come. So, for example, we got stuff later, like even just we talk about later the Wii U. I'm sure people weren't too excited for what would be like something after the Wii U. So
It makes people skeptical, kind of. It
yeah,
loses trust in the consumer themselves. It doesn't
exactly.
necessarily break the bank or like mean that you lost money, but it just means you kind of lose that trust and you build skepticism, which is
Mhm,
not the greatest thing. Also, to
exactly.
be a flop, it can be any idea or gimmicks that died out much quicker than anticipated. It doesn't have to be like just a game. We're talking about little accessories like the Pokey Walker. I don't know if that was a flop. That was pretty cool, but that's just an example of an
For real.
accessory. But that's what it
Yeah.
means to be a flop. Let's talk about some games that performed very poorly that are flops. The first one that I got on the list is Bowser's Inside Story plus Bowser Jr.'s Journey. Now,
Mhm.
before I get a bunch of haters coming at me, right? Bowser's Inside Story, the original for the DS, that did decent. It didn't do exceptional, but it did decent. It wasn't a flop. The flop is the 3DS version that had Bowser Jr.'s Journey, and I can kind of see why because I didn't even realize that was an entry.
Now these aren't saying like they're bad or they're horrible or if you like them, whatever. It's just like these go down as flops, basically.
Yeah,
So next up we got Super Mario Run, which we'll talk about in a little bit here. And we also have another game, Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival. Now, these are two great examples because you can take these from two different points of view for the flop. So we'll talk about it.
yeah. Also, items that performed poorly. You may know about this, you may not. The Wii U. What is that? Is that an accessory for the Wii or is that the console? That was its biggest downfall. So the Wii U performed
For sure.
absolutely atrocious. And then some of you old school people may know Rob. He's not just a Smash character. He is actually something else, but he was
Mhm.
a Nintendo item that performed kind of poor.
Yeah, and I'm honestly, I bet there's people out there that even if they're not like hardcore gamers or collectors, people may literally not like really know what a Wii U is. Like I'm sure there's people out there that don't know and play the Switch and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, I believe it tenfold. Absolutely.
But closing out the stuff that performed poorly, obviously, people may have heard about that other stuff because that's most of Nintendo's big flops.
Mhm.
But more notable stuff that I'm sure if you like listen to gaming videos, watch gaming videos, some big ones are going to be Superman 1999. I think it was on the N64. That's a big one. And Cyberpunk 2077.
That's a newer
Everybody
game,
knows about
right?
that
Because
one.
I
Yeah.
kind of recognize that
It
title.
is, but people know about it. And there's various other hardware items, accessories. There's a lot more flops than we're just talking about right here on surface value. But yeah.
Yeah, we're just gonna zero in on I think four flops of Nintendo.
hmm
And the first one, Homie Low, this is one that you researched in detail. How was Super Mario Run a flop? I thought that was awesome.
Super Mario. Did you actually download the game?
I did not, but I thought it did well because it's Mario. How does Mario do a flop, man?
So before we get into everything, I was looking for the sales of this, and I do actually think Nintendo made money on it.
Mm.
There's a few websites that was like, their budget was a ton for this one. They spent a ton on it. That's just all lies. They probably made money for this, but this is a good example of it doesn't mean that they have to lose money to be a flop because Super Mario Run, right? It was an auto running platformer where Mario tries to save Peach. Very classic. It came out in 2016 for your mobile devices,
Is it kind
right?
of like Subway Surfer where it's just like constantly running?
A little bit, but it's like in that Mario 2D looking, like Mario DS, New Super Mario Bros. Wii. It's
Yeah,
in
yeah.
that kind of platforming.
Gotcha.
And you may be thinking like Nintendo always does consoles, home consoles, handhelds. So why were they even doing something like this on the phones? Well, Nintendo was trying to capitalize on the growing mobile market. At the time, it was growing very big. You had your Clash of Clans, Clash Royale. I'm pretty sure people will probably recognize those.
Yeah, I know. Didn't you play it for like 40 weeks through our podcast?
Oh, absolutely. No more though.
Yeah.
And, the biggest reason that this flopped was because Nintendo had a free version of the game. And I won't lie, I played this and it was pretty fun. It was pretty cool. It's just on your phone. It's like Mario on your phone. That's awesome. It's free.
Yeah.
But there was a paid version for $10 that unlocked like ton of other content. And most people weren't interested in paying for it. So you can probably see how that turns out.
How do you think Nintendo should combat that? Because in some way they can't make money off of a free downloadable game, right? There has to be a paywall somewhere. How do you find the happy medium?
It's just
Because I
microtransactions now. Mario Kart Tour, microtransactions.
okay, so it's like accessories and like decking out your personalized character. It's more so doing that rather than like you have to pay for like actual content.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's how they're doing it now. That's how it should have been done before, but I don't think they really got that yet because they're newer to the market, probably. So,
Right. Yeah, that makes
yeah.
sense.
And finally, the sales, obviously, a flop. Did it lose money? Well, I don't think so, but plenty of downloads this game had, and it led to small sales due to the price point. So they had so many users, but so few sales. And usually, if you have that combination, you're going to think, you know, your game's probably not good enough to convert people, and it's also already $10, and people already don't want to pay that. So you got a lot of negatives in there.
Do you think anything good came from Super Mario Run, or do you think it kind of just turned people away from Mario on the mobile market?
It definitely turned me away from Mario on the mobile market. And I think it did a lot of people. And I don't know if this was them figuring out how to do it on the mobile market, like with microtransactions and stuff, or if that just came along with the times, because I know that's just a huge thing now, like make your game free and put
Mhm.
microtransactions in it. But I'm sure it did something good for them.
Right, because I'm thinking back to like the 25th or the 35th anniversary of Mario when they
Mhm.
released the what was it called? It had Sunshine Galaxy and Nintendo 64. I'm drawing a blank. It's
3D
like
All
All Star.
Stars.
Yeah, it had 3D All Stars, and then didn't it also drop something on the phones?
I do not remember. I don't did it.
I think there was like Super Mario 1999 or 99, something like that. I
Maybe.
really think there was.
I don't
I could
remember.
be wrong, but I think there was a phone issued game to like celebrate Mario's 35th anniversary. And I think they did it a lot better because it was a lot more well received than Super Mario Run.
Yeah,
Or
maybe. I have no clue.
or it was something in Super Mario Run and I'm just like remembering totally wrong, which could be a thing.
Yeah, I'm looking it up. I don't really see anything. So
Okay, maybe I just remembered it wrong. Anyways,
maybe.
that was a flop of an idea of from myself. Let's talk about another flop. Your buddy Rob. Okay, who is Rob? He is your robotic operating buddy.
I
And Rob, he kind of reminds me of the guy from Wally, right? He's
Oh,
really
absolutely.
cool. Believe it or not, okay, you would think he was like some toy that was invented in like 2012 or 2005 because he was in Melee, but he is
Mhm.
actually all the way back from 1985. He was marketed with the NES and sold as a toy to promote sales because believe it or not, gaming as a whole had a crash in 1983. There was an oversaturated of
Oh,
games
wow.
and games were considered poor quality. So in 1983, sales of games topped at 3.2 billion and then but just 2 years later, gaming sales fell to 100 million, which is literally 97% like decrease, like even more. It's so crazy. So
Yeah,
to
that
help
is
the
so
Nest
terrible.
sell, yeah, to help the Nest sell, they bundled Rob with it, and they were like, "This is a toy. This isn't a video game. This is a toy." And they used that little gimmick to just try and couple the NES sales with Rob and promote it to get higher up on the charts. But sadly, Rob was only used for 2 games on the system, Gyromite and Stack Up. I've never played them. I've never even really heard of them. I don't know if they're great games. And unfortunately, nowadays, his idea for what he was going to be used for as like a controller and like laser detection and sensory from those
Mm,
games went completely unused, and he is most commonly known for his appearance in Smash Bros. Now. So homie
poor
Rob kind
guy.
of, yeah, he was a Trojan horse. He kind of went in blind and just decided to do a different purpose.
Well, he still looks super cool. If you guys don't know what he looks like, he looks friendly. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and you just got to picture Wally and then like the big eyes and a robot and just friendly, and he's cool. I want a plush of him.
Plush, that would be so cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So my second game, because we're kind of doing, you got some hardware, I got some games, right? So the second game, which more people will probably recognize, potentially, I don't know. We have Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival. Now, I
When you
feel like,
said that more people were going to recognize it, Animal Crossing is a pretty well-known franchise, correct?
yeah,
I had
yeah.
no idea this game existed. Amiibo Festival, and to think it's like a newer game too. Like this is in 2015. What?
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like anytime I've watched a WiiU video or like collecting WiiU, everyone is just always grossed out when they see the game, honestly. It's
Huh.
weird. But anyways, Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival, what is it? Well, it's a Mario Party like game that was quoted to be boring and repetitive on multiple websites in multiple different sets of text, meaning it wasn't just one quote from one person, it was multiple quotes from multiple people saying boring and repetitive. And it
Ouch.
also used amiibo figures. This was released in 2015 for the Wii U. Now, why did this game come out, right? I mean, they could have just made another Animal Crossing. They did it great on the Switch. They did it, I don't know how good on the Wii, but it's on the Wii. More people like the Wii version than this. Well, Nintendo was trying to boost amiibo use and sales and wanted to put out an Animal Crossing game on the Wii U because, does good on the Wii. It's going to do good on the Wii U, right? Not exactly, right? So
Oh, I
why
guess.
did why did the game flop, right? Nintendo focused way too much on the use for amiibos. I mean, you don't need extra amiibos, but you do need a pack of Animal Crossing amiibo cards. But obviously, there's like people who play I think it's called Spyro or something, and all those figures.
Skylanders. I think it's Skylanders.
Skylanders, that's it. You're not going to just get like one, right? You're going to get a bunch of them, and people who are going to get into it are going to get into it, but I've seen gameplay of this game before. I've seen people hate on it. I feel like you're gonna get a couple. You're gonna realize it's a waste of money. You wasted all that money. It's a flop. And onto the sales, right? This is just one statistic, but I think it's very telling of how this game truly did. Mind you, this is 2015, not like 1985.
Mhm.
This game only sold 20,000 copies its first week in Japan and is widely known as a commercial failure.
Wow. And then it had
20K
such a big bounce back with Animal Crossing on the Switch. That's crazy.
for real, but 20K in the first week is so atrocious. I should have found a comparison, but it's really bad.
Oh man. Now, do you think there's just too much of a paywall because you needed amiibos to even like start the game? Or do you think the game was just like constructed bad in your
It's
personal
definitely
opinion?
both of them.
It's
It
both.
both it both factors in to make this game just like terrible. Nobody really wants to play it.
If you ever got a Wii U, would you get Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival?
Oh, absolutely.
You just gotta get it.
Yeah, I gotta have it. I'm sure it's cheap.
Yeah. But speaking of the Wii U is our next Nintendo flop. And
Yeah,
if you're
probably the
anyone
biggest
like,
one.
yeah, if you're anything like me, I didn't even know the Wii U was a different console until like 2017 when the Switch came out. Because
Really?
yeah, I mean, I wasn't as big into gaming until like 3, 4 years ago. So the Wii U just kind of seemed like a weird controller. So to kick things off, the Wii U sold as of like a couple years after its release date, 13.56 million. And now that's a lot, right? We can't just diss the Wii U and
Yeah.
be like, okay, that's nothing. But if you compare it to how the Wii did, or how even the Nintendo 64 did like decades ago, the Wii sold over 100 million sales, and the Nintendo 64 sold over 32 million sales. So for a 2012 Nintendo 8th generation console to sell 13.56 million sales, dreadful, awful. No one even knows what the Wii U is. No one cared.
Yeah, that's atrocious. And I was gonna say a point you have later, but that's downright terrible.
But we do have to make a point that the Wii U is basically the prototype for the Switch. It was an
Mhm.
experimental generation. It was trying to figure out, okay, how do you play video games on the TV and then also have the ability to switch it back to the handheld mode? It almost got it right, but it couldn't quite do it because you had to stay like within a certain distance to the TV if you're using the
Oh yeah,
tablet.
yeah.
But Nintendo was like, okay, what if the home TV's in use, but you still want to play your game? They wanted to figure it out, and this is like the blueprints for the Switch. So it's so important that they had this, but it
Hmm.
ultimately was a flop. It did
Yeah.
land on the markets in November 28th, 2012. So we are looking at almost a decade ago now, which is crazy. Which is crazy to me.
Hmm.
And
For sure.
the reason why it was a flop is a couple things, right? But the most prominent thing was it was marketed so poorly. And I'm a victim of this. Many people saw this as an accessory for the Wii. You look at the title, right? Right? It's the
Mhm.
Wii U. It's not like the Wii 2. It's not Wii Pro or any, it's literally like Wii U. Okay, what is
Yeah. And the thing
it's
is, I know they spent like ridiculous amounts of money on marketing this. And I don't remember much back then, but I remember never seeing those ads. And if I ever did, it was like these lame ads that took like a minute to get into any video games. It was always like a family huddling on a couch. It was terrible.
Yeah, I mean, they did not do that great. They did a way better job marketing the original Wii and the Switch. The Wii U was a
Yeah.
big miss. In fact, when they were marketing it, they seemed to overemphasize the tablet. And when people finally got like the tablet part of the Wii U, it underperformed so poorly compared to other eighth generation consoles. Like this was the generation of like PS4 and Xbox One, I believe. And it
Yeah.
had no graphical comparisons. It couldn't keep the frame rate. It just, the memory was nowhere near like PS4 or Xbox. And if you're just a gamer looking to play like nice games, the Wii U was not the choice.
Yeah,
Not at
but
all.
you know one good thing about the Wii U that I've never knew till a while ago, a little while ago. They on the eShop they have like DS games.
Oh man, that kind of makes sense though, because you could have two screens, the tablet and the TV.
I know that's crazy. That's so cool. But
It is
anyways, it's a flop.
it is a flop. And the last reason it probably did so bad, the people that got it, you only really had first party titles to play on. You didn't have like any little hidden gems, no third party support, because the third party gamer like gaming companies, they even want to go on the Wii U because the Wii U sold so poorly. So
Real
yeah,
terrible,
yeah, there
terrible
was
stuff.
no support for the Wii U.
You know, I think
Big
there's also
flop.
like a Wii Mini. I wonder how that did.
I feel like that's more so like, you know how there's a Nintendo DS and then DS Lite and then DSi. I feel like
Yeah,
that's like the same generation console, just a different version. This was like a whole generation console.
I know. And now you were saying that like this was out at the same time of Xbox One and PS4, and it's like we have the Nintendo Switch now, and that's what we basically use it before the PlayStation 5s and Series X came out or whatever.
Mhm.
This is we skipped over the Wii U and we started comparing the Switch to those other consoles instead because the Wii U did so terrible.
Right. And I didn't even know about the Wii U. It was during that time where I was just playing Xbox games and I didn't even really think of Nintendo. So I don't
You
that's
know,
just
crazy.
it's a crazy time we live in, man. Crazy time. But
But now Wii U prices are going up.
yeah, before we close out and end our history of the flop, let's talk about the importance of a flop because believe it or not, you gotta fail. You got to fail to learn. And homie low, I
Yeah,
think the importance of the flop is that it shows that the company is willing to take risks. And that's so important because you know what? We never would have had the Switch if the Wii U didn't come along.
for sure. Because the Wii U mimics the Switch like what it wanted to be. Like you've said multiple times, you can totally see. And yeah, I mean, we wouldn't have the Switch without the Wii U if they didn't try.
Hmm. I also think that it's important because it shows what works and what doesn't work. They learned from the Wii U ads that you know what, maybe we have to focus more on showing off the games instead of a tablet. Maybe we have
Oh
to
yeah, that's
go
big.
up this
Yeah.
avenue. And you know, you're not always going to get it right. If a company was perfect, like we would hold that company to such high standards, like unbelievable standards, but no one's perfect. No company's perfect. And you know what? It's important to lose sometimes because it shows you what works and what doesn't. So that's good.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, Nintendo's not going to be perfect. They've obviously still doing stuff that people don't like, but that's always going to happen as long as they're trying. Like, I'm sure they weren't trying to make the Wii U flop, but it happened. So,
Last thing I want to say is so a lot like Microsoft and Sony, they prioritize how do we get the best specs for our consoles? How do we have the most memory, the best frame rate, the best what are other stuff like graphics? Nintendo's
mm,
philosophy is they prioritize low cost and low powered hardware over the latest and greatest. And this is very apparent with the Wii U content because they didn't even try to compete with the PS4 or the Xbox One. But even though they
I know. Yeah.
prioritize different things, sometimes they still come out on top with the originality of ideas. So it just shows us different companies take different priorities, and that is okay.
For sure. I agree. And Nintendo does it good. And I don't think they need to listen to anybody else or work with anybody else. I think they're doing it just fine on their own.
Agreed. But I think that wraps up the history of the flop and everything that goes into it. It was really fun researching and just figuring out stuff that I didn't already know. So I'm glad we did it.
Yeah.
But without further ado, let's head over to the what's new and what we've been playing section. Ogly dokily, homie low. We are over here in the what's new and what we've been playing section. And I know you are a gambler and you like to gamble with your money. And I
Okay.
know
All right.
that you had that cash money to pan out. Homie low, what is new in your gaming collection this week?
I think it's really funny. Like people who are here are real ones and they're only going to be here till the end. I think it's really funny how we're looking at the same exact slideshow and you're
Yeah.
asking me, you have money, what's new? And you see that I have nothing.
Well, yeah, I got to build it up.
Oh yeah, but nothing's new. I was gonna, there was a Gengar plush. It was huge. It was like $60. The guy was like, it's discounted at 45. I had a $5 coupon. I really wanted to get it, but
Dude, why didn't you?
I didn't. I had to make business decision.
Dude, did you not get it because you bought two strawberries and fruit from Yolickities the other day?
No, that wasn't the reason. I just didn't think it would be a good financial decision.
Okay, that's fair enough. What's new for your boy? Well, we out here on different computers, and I actually got bugged on my computer. I have a nasty virus. It's
Yeah, apparently.
the Chrome to Bing redirect virus that's so stupid and it pisses me off and I hate it and I never want to see Microsoft Bing on my computer ever again. We went to Microsoft support help and we tried to get it square, but it's not working and it's
I mean,
irritating and I'm over it. I don't ever want to see it again. And it's not gaming related, but it's new and I hate it.
we had homie James on the case and we thought he figured out something, but he didn't.
Yeah, it came back.
Oh, wait, it redirects you to Microsoft Bing again?
Yeah. It's rough,
Wow.
man. It's rough out here.
I didn't know that part. I know you texted me, but I didn't know that part.
Yeah, we not good, but it's okay. We'll figure it out, I'm sure. Let's talk about
Okay.
what we've been playing this week.
All right. What have I been playing? Well, I've actually been playing this unknown game that's not very popular called Paper Mario Origami King. I
Really?
started that. Yeah. I think I got like 30 minutes into it. Still a little bit time to
Oh,
go. But I also have been playing a mobile game called BeatStar. Now, don't make fun of me for this
hmm.
because it's fun. All right.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to poke fun of you for playing Beatstar probably more than Paper Mario Origami King, our podcast. No way. No way.
In my last game that I've been playing, well, I just finished it a couple days ago. Pokemon White 2. I beat the Elite Four and I beat the champion. I do want to say, though, just have it on documentation, right? In case I
Mm.
forget. I was facing the champion, maybe like 3 Pokemon, and it's like I only had 5, so it's 6v5. And I think 2 of my guys had fainted. So at that time, it was 3v3. And he sent out a water Pokemon. And I saw this, and I was on like my crocodile or something who's ground dark. And I looked at my Chandelure and I was like, you know what? It's your time to shine, man. And I
And
sent him out there.
what type is Chandelure, just in case people don't know?
It's Ghost Fire. So
Oh, it's
yeah,
fire. And you
yeah,
sent that out against a water
yeah.
in
And
the on the champion battle of the Elite Four,
that's correct.
thinking that it was his time to shine.
Yeah. And he got one shot, and I was like, oh, yeah. All right, cool. And then I won. So it's fine.
And that's when you learn that water is super effective against fire.
I know it's crazy.
That's all right. I mean, you're the champion, so it is what it is.
I
Chandelure
know.
probably forgives you.
Yeah, for real. Chandelure's a beast, though.
Nice. For your boy, I've been playing Paper Mario Origami King.
What's
I
that?
got I got kind of far in it, maybe the second streamer. I still got a ways to go. It is a lot more enjoyable than what I thought it was going to be. I thought I was going to dread this game, but it's pretty fun and I'm excited to continue it. And I've also been playing the mortuary assistant and getting the Jahibis scared out of me, and that's fun.
I know we give Dashy a shout out on every episode. So, just let's have it here, right?
Mhm.
I cannot believe Dashy put out over an hour gameplay of this game.
I know. When I find the time, I'm gonna watch it because I love that game.
Yeah, well, very nice. I'm glad.
But I think that about wraps up today's episode. Homie Low, why don't you bring us home?
Yes, for sure. Guys, this has been episode number 77 of Nintenbros. We hope you have enjoyed. Just so you know, we do have 0.5 episodes dropping on the 15th and 30th of each month, starting tomorrow when you guys hear this. So look out for our top 5 of Mario Kart tracks and items tomorrow. Will
Oh
be
yeah,
very
that's so
cool.
cool.
Yeah, and so no matter what dates the stuff drop on, it'll always be the 15th and 30th. That might be a few days away from our most recent 3 days away, 4 days, whatever. It's going to be like that. But
Mhm.
besides that, this has been Nintenbros number 77. You can check out my socials at On a Ship, Nintenbros at Nintenbros on TikTok, Nintenbros93 on Instagram, Nintenbros6 on Twitter. And yeah, do you want to have any social shout out or what are you doing?
You can check out your boy at On a Boat 97. I am currently doing absolutely nothing, but you can still check me out.
For sure. Yeah, check that out. Check us out everywhere. If you did make it this far in the podcast, message us Car and Nintenbros93 on Instagram for a shout out in the next episode. But besides that, Nintenbros 77, history of the flop over Nintendo. Let us know what you think, and we'll see you all next time.
Bye.